This is the Phoenix mind, where the fire refines, break the chains and rise to shine. Rise on the lead with heart, every end a brand new start. With Lisa Manzo we transform, we ignite. This is the Phoenix mind.
Hi, and welcome back. And today, my special guest is Celeste Case-Ruchala. I hope I got that right. And let me read you Celeste's bio because it's awesome, and I can't wait to delve into her story. So, Celeste is a storyteller, community builder who believes in the power of speaking the truths we've been taught to hide. Through her women's groups and in her work as a coach and author, she creates spaces where women can lay down perfectionism, reclaim their voice, and remember who they were before the world told them to shrink. I learned that journey along, I learned that at a very young, early age, which
You're
is sad.
lucky.
No, I learned to shrink at an early age.
Oh, not okay.
And I didn't learn to unshrink till recently. Anyway, her own journey through self-abandonment, identity loss, and rebuilding from rock bottom moments fuels her through deep commitment to helping others navigate the messy middle of transformation. Whether in an intimate circle or through her podcast, My Healing is Your Healing, Celeste's work is rooted in connection, vulnerability, and belief that one woman rises when one woman rises, we all rise. Sorry about that. I love that a little.
It's all good.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited for this conversation, and you can tell that I'm excited because my face gets all red, and because on the last podcast I was looking at myself, I'm like, why does it go so? I like the conversation, but my face wasn't red. I'm like, that's pretty interesting. So, oh, I just paid my listeners a secret.
It's a
Oops.
good indication.
Uh-huh. So tell us your story. Tell it because it's awesome, and because women need to hear it.
Okay, so about 2 years ago, almost a month ago, or 2 years ago to the day, I was standing on the street in Las Vegas with a colleague, and we were having a random conversation. And he turns to me and he goes, "Can I ask you a question?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." Cool, thinking it was going to be, "What'd you have for lunch?" And he goes, "Celeste, do you ever feel seen?" And mind you, this is 2 weeks before my wedding.
Oh wow.
And I look at him and I just start to cry because I realized, no, I have never actually felt seen. And so I'm standing there like, oh shit, what do I do? How do I like figure out if I'm supposed to get married or not? And so it opened all of these questions for me, like, who am I and what do I actually want with my life? And do I like the things that I like because I like them or because they've been told to me in this relationship? So I went home and everybody started coming for the wedding. We were going to have it at our house. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I can't tell these people to go away. So I walked down the aisle and I was probably a little too drunk for that day. And I then had a panic attack in the shower that night. And it lasted for probably 2 hours. Like the water went cold. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I can't do this. I'm really sorry. We're not actually going to turn in the papers. We're not getting married. And from that point on, instead of saying yes to somebody else, I started saying yes to myself. And so that's what brought us here.
That's so interesting because I can tell you, I know of two women in my life that should have said that wish they had the courage to say no. So one was a relative, and she wished she had said no because we had a conversation, but I didn't know how to get out of it.
Yeah, it's an expectation, you know? People are like, why do you want to walk away? And I look at them and I'm like, why wouldn't I want to know myself? And the words back, they go, well, he's so nice.
Yeah, so what?
So what?
What?
So what?
What's that gonna get you? So
Yeah.
nice. That he's not your person. So nice is great, but that doesn't mean anything to me.
And
I
the
got
really disappointing part is I literally walked him into the jewelry store and made him like buy the ring. I told him what I wanted, and I just felt like I was pushing it to the extent that he fell in line. And then I told him I didn't want it anymore and I felt bad. But let me tell you, 2 years later, life is great.
That took a lot of courage. I'm going to say, I mean, it sucked for him, because I'm sure it was devastating. But if you're not his person and he's not your person, eventually you're both going to find the right one and it's going to be a blessing. Because sometimes I always find there's blessings in I don't want to say everything because there's not a blessing in everything, but in a lot of things there are blessings for. And you look at how happy you are now. This is amazing and you got to so you knew, right? You didn't want to do this. You had the panic attack. When you were in that shower for 2 hours on your wedding night, did he ask any questions?
Yeah, he came in, like he tried to talk to me and he's like, "Are you okay?" But I couldn't hear him. There was so much in my head just going on, like chattering. And yeah, I don't think he would have understood.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Who's going to understand that on your wedding day you changed your mind? It's like,
I
um,
feel bad, but that's okay.
let's talk about the reactions from people. Oh, but he was so nice. What else did you get besides, oh, he's so nice? Because you had to,
Oh.
I just want to point out the reason I'm asking this is what you were up against at that time, right? You're picking yourself, and then you have the other side of the fence, and they're pushing you to stay with this man that you realize is not for you. So what are you up against, and how hard was? Because I want people to understand that sometimes standing up for ourselves takes work and effort and commitment.
It is so hard because everybody is telling you basically the script that you're supposed to live by, right? Like Disney movies and television and society basically say you cannot survive until you have a man and then your life can start. And so it was ingrained so it was ingrained so hard. And so I think I was talking a little bit before the wedding with my mom and my best friend and kind of trying to figure out, okay, what are my options here? And that's when I got the, well, why dating is so hard in your 30s, 40s, 50s, right? I'm like, but why would I not want to get to know who I am and give myself the lovely woman who I'm going to spend my entire life with instead of this one person that may be with me for 2, 3, 5 years and then we might be not together anymore? Why not build that relationship with me? And nobody understood. Like people don't ask themselves those deeper questions.
You didn't have anybody in your corner that time?
No,
I wish I was your friend. I'd have been in your corner. I'd have been rooting you on.
I needed it because, man, I can't tell you how much I cried over the last like weeks before the wedding and then a couple weeks after trying to figure out what I was doing. Yeah. But my mother, bless her, told me that I should basically settle. Yeah, he's so nice. Why don't you stay in this? Like this is the guy for you. And I was so disappointed by that.
Well, my first question would be, did she settle? That would be my first question. If somebody's telling me to settle, my first question would be to them, well, did you settle?
Mom, I hope you're not listening to this. I mean, I hope you're supporting me, but at the same time, um, I don't know. And that's what I worry about is maybe she didn't know herself well enough either and wanted to have a man.
I'm just throwing the question out. It's actually not a question for you to answer. It's her question to answer. It was just like, but I was just putting into thoughts. If somebody's going to come at me and say that, I would mirror that back to them because did you settle? Because that if we do what we're familiar with and what's been modeled for her was did like and here's another rhetorical question. Did your grandmother settle? I know that my great grandmother, um, well, because that was in the early 1900s, right? Like my grandmother came through Ellis Island in 1904. Okay,
That's amazing.
right, and then her father died. And back then, the only thing for a woman was they had to be married. So my great grandmother had to find another man.
That's so it's such a different society, right? Even between probably you and me, where like women needed men to survive a long time ago, even to open a bank account, right? I think 50 years ago that finally stopped being a thing. 50 years. But so even when I went to the dentist a couple weeks ago, and she knows all of the things I do in my life. And so I've done a number of Ironmans. And she's like, well, how's your training going? And I go, I quit. I wanted to focus on my own things. And she goes, oh, well, you must have 10 to 15 hours now in your life to date. And I look at her and I was like, excuse me? So cultural differences, right? Society tells you to settle or to have a man is kind of different now.
Yeah, I guess that's where I didn't fit in because I'm a very capable person. And for me, I want you in your life. I don't need you.
Yeah. I wish I learned that much sooner.
Well, I've always known that. Like, I don't need you. I want you in my life, but I'm very capable of getting through my life all on my own, and I don't need you. I had this one guy, and he would try to correct me on things I did, right? I said, well, number one, you don't have any children. I said, so you got nothing here for me until you have children. So that topic is closed. And two is, listen, I'm 50 years old. I've gotten this far doing exactly what I'm doing. It works for me. If it doesn't work for you, I'm sorry. I don't care.
That's amazing that you know that though, because for me, it was ingrained for a long time that I had to have somebody to rely on.
Oh,
And yeah, to like need a partner.
well, for me, it was that no one was in my corner.
Mm,
So I had to be my own corner.
that's hard.
You say it's hard, but it's the only thing I knew.
And
It's
so you had to.
right, it's the only
Yeah.
thing. So is it hard?
I guess not.
Hard because it's the only thing I knew and I just went with it. And you know what? I'm okay with it because I'm really a capable person. I can figure things out. It's so much more fun though to do it together and do it with people because that was one thing I had to learn was to ask for help.
Oh, yeah.
I had to learn. So it was such a problem for me that I had these cards printed up for myself to remind me.
I love this.
Okay. To remind me that it's okay to ask for help. So, were you able to get help? Like, how did you process all these emotions that were happening for you and all these people telling you you're wrong, you should be doing this, and you should, and you know in your heart you're not wrong. You need to be doing what you're doing, exactly what you're doing. But how did you process that? How did you hold them off?
Oh my gosh. First of all, it was really isolating. I knew, well, here's the thing, right? You can only reflect as much to anybody else as you know inside of yourself. And so when you're just know yourself surface level, that's really all you can connect with somebody. And so I was recognizing that a lot of my friendships in the area in Phoenix when I lived there were very surface level. And they knew me by my accomplishments, right? They knew my training schedule, but they did not know Celeste to her core because I didn't know. And so I tried to reach out to friends, but I kept getting hit with those same things, right? And so I was like, you know what? I need a new place to live. And so I went and I looked in Washington and I was like, I love this place so much. And the one person that said anything to me about me moving, nobody's contacted me since then, by the way. But she was like, your problems will follow you. And I go, yeah, okay, whatever. But they did. And I'm now, like 2 years later, recognizing, okay, yeah, no, I see the things that I was trying to run away from still did stick with me. So, yeah.
I want to talk about that. And because, so I moved out of New York because I knew that I would never ever stop drinking as long as I lived there because of people, places, and things.
Hmm.
Down in New York, I went with the plan. And the plan was not to go to those places anymore and not make friends with those people anymore and to choose a different path because I was aware of it. So now that it's 2 years later or a year and a half later, and that person who said your problems will follow you and you figured out they did, what did you change? How did you shift it?
I got really curious. I probably bought way too many self-help books. I probably listened to way too many podcasts and, have 1,000 workbooks on my bookshelf upstairs that have not even been cracked open. And then I started trying to like figure out what it was that I liked. Not because somebody told me I liked it, but because I knew I liked it. So I was like trying salsa dancing and bachata and like exploring all of the new cities, and there's a lot of hiking up here, obviously. So, going out and doing that stuff and getting really clear on who I was and what I liked, and a lot of painful sitting in silence. That one for me was the toughest one because my mind wants to talk to me and it's really, really mean, or at least it really was mean before. Um, and so learning how to sit there and not numb out by watching TV or drinking wine or doing any of those things, right? Scrolling on your phone and getting to know me.
And finding out what you liked and what you didn't like. So I recently read a book, and it was a very helpful healing book. So the book was called The Good Daughter Syndrome. Highly recommend it. And it was so healing for me. And in the book it says to go around your house, right? And look at things and say me or not me.
I love that.
So this was only a few months ago because I'm always learning and finding new books to read and stuff. So I just moved into a new place in May. So right before I left, I finished this book and I went around the house and I went, me or not me, me or not me, me or not. I can't tell you how much stuff I got rid of.
I love this.
Me or
I got
not.
to do it backwards because when I moved, I literally just took all of my personal things and then left. So I had to buy all new things. And my house has looked very empty for the past 2 years. And I finally just started nesting and it's all Celeste.
Exactly. And I'm still doing it, right? So I moved to the house and I had these I bought this living room set, right? And it came with a set of lamps. Like, and they're there and they're sitting on the tables, and I'm like, I really hate those things. Really don't like them. So finally I got rid of them. I gave them away because they're not me.
I love it.
And so, and I use that trick. It's not really a trick. I use that tool. I use that tool in my life, me or not me, because this way it helps me show up authentically and not the version of me that somebody else wants to see.
Yeah, I love this because you're deciding what you actually decide to say yes to.
Exactly. Now, I will also tell you, and I adored my dad. And one day we were having a conversation, and he said to me, and I've talked about this on a previous podcast, so if you're hearing it again, I must need to say it. He said to me, I don't even know who you are. I said, Dad, I show you the person you want to see. When you want to see all of me, let me know. I'll be happy to show you who she is.
Wow.
And I was like 18 at the time.
That's impactful,
Yeah. And
especially for you to be so self-aware of it.
oh yeah, my parents only wanted to see the version that they wanted me to be. They didn't want to see who I was as a person and really see the person underneath. We never had that conversation. He never came back and said, I want to see all of you. He just wanted to see the person he wanted to see.
Oh my gosh. How did that feel though?
Oh no, well, what, because I was aware of it. It was like he just wanted to see my life from everything is fantastic.
Mm.
Aaron. And so I showed him that. Eventually he saw some of the really bad parts because I did at some point suffer from really bad depression, and he got to witness that. After I had the babies, I had postpartum, severe postpartum both times. So he got to witness some of it because I just didn't have the energy
You
to
can't hide that.
anymore. So I mean, he got to see it. He just never asked to see it. And, but remember, he did better than his parents. Okay. My mother did better than her parents, and I'm doing better than my parents. So it's win-win for everybody, and when that's all it's fine. You know who Jeanette McCurdy is, right?
Mm-mm.
So are you in your 30s?
I'm 36.
Okay, so do you remember the show iCarly?
Yes.
Okay, so she was the blonde on iCarly.
Okay.
Okay. So she wrote this book and it's called I'm Glad My Mom Died. And after I read the book, I was glad her mom died too, because that's how abusive she was to her.
Goodness.
And she talks about it. When she was in it, she didn't know that it was abusive. And then her mom died, and then she got therapy. And it helped her and see that that wasn't what a mom should be doing.
You know, you just made me think about that. And this is why I call it my healing is your healing, because when you hear stories from someone else, then it triggers something inside of you and it makes you learn and it helps you grow a little bit too, right? Um, but listening to that, thinking back about like, you don't know what you don't know until you've lived past that point and you can look backwards and say, oh, yeah, that's where I was, and that's okay. Because when I think about that question on the sidewalk in the Vegas Strip, right? Have you ever felt seen? And recognizing that I didn't have any other capacity to know any better. That's all I could do at that point in time.
Yeah, and you know what? From it sounds to me, and tell me if this is right. It sounds to me in that moment that that person made you realize that you not only that you wanted to be seen, you needed it.
Yeah. Do you ever get have you ever heard that every person that you meet is a mirror?
I can believe it, and I don't know about every person, but a lot of the people that I interact with intimately, yes, I can absolutely believe that.
Because whatever they're talking about or saying or however they're acting, right? Like you're still going to take the piece that is most meaningful to you in the moment, whether you're working on, you so if you see in them, their joy and happiness, that's something that you might be working on and you're like, I really want that for myself. And so that's a mirror reflecting back at you kind of what you're working on and where you want to be. And so in that moment, being on the strip and having that question asked back, maybe he meant it in a completely different way, and I just saw what I saw in that moment because that's where I was.
Right, because it's always where we were, where we are when in that moment. And then if he'd asked it 10 minutes from then, he'd have gotten a different response because you would have been somewhere else in your head and it might not have, it might have just flew on by. You never
Mhm.
know.
I feel like the universe would have kept poking at me though.
Oh,
Yeah.
I agree. Like the universe will keep giving you that lesson over and over until you get it. And I've been getting this message my whole life that I've been trying to go too fast and take shortcuts. And I've gotten this lesson over and over and over. And now I'm at the point, no, it's going to take as long as it takes. However many bumps in the road I hit, that's the journey it is. And so launching this podcast, we started this, we should have launched already. We're already past the target date. You know what? That's okay. And it's just it's a growth experience for me because that's what I feel. All this stuff is experiences to grow.
I love that.
So what was your biggest, so after that, after all that stuff and you I have it here's a question I asked you when you on the podcast. Is there a part of your story you really get asked about and people would explore more? And you wrote, "Did I forgive my ex?" So here's what I want to know. What did you need to forgive your ex for? Because that, you decided, you know, you didn't want to be married and that's great. So what did you need to forgive your ex for? I'm very curious.
That's a good question. I mean, there were a lot of things in my life that I put on him, um, and that he went along with, right? Because when you're with somebody, you kind of morph and you become the other person a little bit. And yeah, I guess allowing me to, or almost forcing me to be in my masculine all of the time. He was an electrical engineer and really didn't understand how to relate to me, right, in a romantic way or kind of even in a human way. Until I wrote him, I loved unicorns, and I wrote him this little thing that said how to love your unicorn, and I gave him all of the ways to like take me on dates and that, and he never understood. And but my car was always clean. Every single week, he would meticulously go out and wash my car and clean the inside, and I would get so mad because I'm like, you're not showing me love in the right ways. And looking back, like this wasn't all just me. There were parts that, he could have done better in, but I feel bad because I never saw him for who he was either. And I feel bad because now I'm like, I really wish my car was clean.
Well, no one's part is clean. Nobody's 100% at fault ever. And nobody's 100% right. Period. End of story. I don't care if you have 5%. You're never 100% right and you're never 100% wrong. So what, so, so it sounds to me like his love language was acts of service. And that wasn't your love language. And the reason I say this is because after my marriage ended, and then I started the personal development seminar, and it was years later, and and I looked back at all the gifts my husband gave me, and they were all extravagant gifts. And I was like, oh, he's just spending money on me. I wanted him. So mine is acts of service. Like, of course I like gifts, but acts of service is my primary. If you're going to do something for me, that's mine. And so what is your language, love, that he wasn't fulfilling?
I think it's quality time.
Okay. There you
Yeah,
go.
that deep understanding and being witnessed by somebody else.
Right. So quality, and that would make sense because you said you weren't being seen. And so my ex-husband used to give me these great gifts because that's what he wanted. And I used to do acts of service for him because that was what I wanted, but I didn't understand that back then. And I wish I would have because we could have flip-flopped it and I could have spoke his language and he spoke mine. That'd be awesome. Like the next relationship I'm in. Okay, you're gonna do the quiz, the love language quiz, because I want to know what yours is so I can speak to you in that manner because it's so important, right? So he was speaking, you guys weren't speaking each other's language.
No, but I feel like it was like the language of our entire relationship, right? That showed up. And I kind of have to forgive him for that because he was trying in his own way.
Oh, absolutely, because that's what he was taught.
Yeah.
Or that's what was modeled, maybe not taught, but that was what was modeled for him, and he just followed along with the plan.
Yeah.
You have to think, I always think about it and say, I wanna think about it. Is this really working for me? Is this really the right thing to do, or is there something better?
Yeah. Because the grass is not always greener. Sometimes you have to put in a little bit of sweat, blood, and tears.
Right. Let's talk more about that. What do you mean the grass is not always greener?
So I would always, when I was younger, would jump from relationship to relationship to relationship just because I always thought that, when things stopped working, that there was something better out there. And sometimes you just have to learn to dig in and to get curious. I really like getting curious because if you understand people's motives or their deeper, like have a deeper understanding of who they are and where they're at, then you can get a little deeper into the relationship or an understanding or connect better and then decide, is it something that I need to leave instead of just jumping ship immediately because there's, a really hot guy over here.
I like that. That's awesome. So I have two more questions for you. So we've talked a lot, and I really enjoyed this conversation because, for all those women out there who it's not the right one for them, you can still say no, even if it's that day.
Hmm.
Still say no. And thank you for sharing that. So what piece of advice you would give my audience if they're struggling and they need a little bit, they just need a little help or a tool they can put in their toolbox? What do you got?
I would say that, first of all, become your own best friend. If you aren't already, or if you look in the mirror and you do not recognize the woman in front of you or man, get really curious as to why. Where did she go? What happened? And start to find ways to get to know her on a personal level. Because, like I said before, you are the only person that you are going to be with for your entire life. So if you know all of your truths, all of your lies, all of your funny moments, all of your sad moments, those are moments to cherish.
I like it. That's awesome. And when people want to learn more from you, where can they go? How can they find you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Instagram is a great place to get videos. It's My Healing, Your Healing, or I have a podcast that's on YouTube. It's My Healing is Your Healing. And then I'm writing a book about becoming the radiant woman, which is coming out in November.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. So this has been another episode of the Phoenix Mind Podcast, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This is the Phoenix Mind, where the fire refines. Together we rise, transform our lives.